Well, a good Friday to you. Thank you for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program, a Friday feature here on WKRX and Channel 10. My name is Rob Hall. Glad to have you along with us on this last Friday of September. Hey, and you know what? It's about the second or third day of fall. I think fall actually started late Monday. So here we are off to a wet start for the fall. And want to let you know that we're live in the studio today for the Gardener's Corner program that is brought to you by T.G. Brooks Company and the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association's 8th Annual Harvest Show will be next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That'll be October 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Butner. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. But without further ado, please make welcome all the way from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, a man that gets up in the morning, and when he's getting ready, he looks in the mirror and he says, bring it on, I'm ready for it.
Says, oh no.
A man that has many years of experience, and judging by the hair on his head, he can, guarantee that he's got many years of experience.
That's right.
Mr. Carl, it's fall time of the year, Cantaloupe.
Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Carl. How are you, sir?
All right, pretty good.
Carl, talking a little bit about the weather, yesterday wasn't, quite as cool as the day before yesterday, but we had a little bit of cool weather really to start out the fall with.
Yeah, don't need the AC. Open the windows, and no heat yet, so that's good too.
Yeah, well, I must admit we did turn the heat on at home, and I know several people that did turn the heat on a little bit on Wednesday because it was just kind of a little chilly day,
Yeah, I think the temperature stayed only 72 degrees inside the house, so it didn't drop.
Yeah, well, a lot of times, it doesn't take but just a few degrees changing to make it to where it's you're comfortable or a little bit cool or a little bit warm. So,
right.
But nevertheless, we dealt with it, and just glad to be here. Got a lot of useful information we want to pass along to you today on the Gardener's Corner program. And if you have a question for Carl, just give us a call, 336-599-0266. Again, that's 599-0266. And a lot of you that's maybe riding around listening to us on the radio, I know a lot of the newer model vehicles will scroll our telephone number across the radio. So, it says call 336-599-0266 where radio ads gets results, and that it does.
Okay.
But anyway, before we get into the first topic at hand, got a phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Pam. And I've got a question for Carl.
Okay, Pam. Welcome to the show.
We have pear trees, fruit-bearing pear trees.
Right.
The last 2 years, they haven't really produced any fruit, and this year I'm noticing up at the top, they're starting to die off, basically. The leaves are drying up and everything. And I'm thinking I may have some sort of infection. And what would be my course of treatment to help try to preserve them?
Okay. Now, first of all, you see the tip at the tips of the branches, the leaves are turning brown and black, and is it progressing back towards the center of the tree?
Yes.
Okay. This is probably the bacterium fire blight, and fire blight gets its start in pear trees, and the bacterium is introduced usually through the flower by bees, and then it spreads throughout the tree. So what you have to do is get your pruning shears and mix up a 10% solution of Clorox in water, 1 part Clorox to 10 parts of water, and dip your shears into that before you make each cut. What you have to do is go about 12 inches into the tree, past where you see the blighted leaves. So what you're trying to do is effectively eliminate that bacteria from traveling any further.
Gotcha.
And you know, some years it's worse than others, but fire blight can be very destructive to certain varieties of pears and apples as well.
Thank you for the information. I appreciate that.
All
Hey,
right.
we appreciate you calling.
Thanks for calling in.
Good question. Thank you. And of course, one thing we would like to say, anytime that you're having to do any pruning of trees, if a ladder is involved, try to have someone with you to help hold the ladder to give you a little bit of extra support so
Right,
you
right.
won't fall and harm yourself. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Hello, Rob.
Hey, how are you?
Doing all right. I got to ask a question.
Okay.
My azalea bushes have got to be little trees,
Uh-huh.
and I want to know when I can cut them back.
Next year, right after they finish blooming.
This year?
Next year.
Oh, next year after they finish blooming.
Mhm.
So they just finished blooming now. I can't cut them this year?
Oh, what do you have?
Crepe myrtles.
No, you said azaleas first.
No, crepe myrtles.
Okay. Well, you had said azaleas, but it's
I'm
crepe
sorry.
metal. That's all right. That's all
Okay.
right. Okay.
All right. With crepe myrtles next spring, just before or right as they're budding out.
Okay, right after they bud out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for
Appreciate
calling.
it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Anyway, we are live in the studio and appreciate y'all calling in, and we'll do our best to answer the question. Carl, now, last week, when we finished up with the show, you actually went out to the asparagus plot and also the rhubarb
That's right.
test trial plot
Mm-hmm.
because you had a few visitors last Friday afternoon, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had we had our ag agents meeting here, and several of them came, and we looked at the variety trial, talked about growing asparagus. Mr. Garnet Carr, the cooperator, at the trial, that's where the trial is planted at. He came out and we opened up a furrow and did a demonstration of planting asparagus. So everybody enjoyed it, and so I think it was informative for everyone.
Well, that was good, and with the ag agent meeting last Friday, they had a couple of different choices of places that they could go and see what was going on, and one was the asparagus trial plot. I guess, did I say that right?
Yeah.
At Mr. Garnet Carr's farm. So appreciate all the agents from the neighboring counties coming out to take part in that. Got another call.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Yes, sir. I got a bunch of wild onions in my yard. How you get rid of them things? I think they come up spring of the year.
Well, they're probably starting to germinate now and come up, so they're in your lawn right now.
Right.
You can get some either Speed Zone or Trimec. Speed Zone is one word, SPEEDZONE, or Trimec, Trimec.
Where you get that, Southern State?
You can, or any garden supply store. You can put that on now, and this will also be good for treating other weeds that are very small and inconspicuous in the lawn right now, and that is the henbit and the here goes another senior moment. Henbit and chickweed. So if you apply the Speed Zone or the Trimec now, you'll kill those weeds when they're very small, and then you won't see them next spring.
Oh, well, all right. I know you don't see the onions in the spring a year ago. I go down and pick me a mess onion just about.
No, okay.
Yeah, give that Trimac a Speed Zone a try, and think you would be pleased doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Appreciate
All right.
it. You have a good day. Carl, I too have noticed in areas about some of the wild onions and things.
They're sprouting and they
Yeah.
come.
So-
Well, a lot of times plants will go ahead and grow in the fall or flower. I've seen it a lot with fruit trees. Sometimes you'll see some apple trees start blooming in the fall, and people are wondering, well, why is it doing this? Well, if the tree has undergone any stress conditions, the plant thinks it's going to die, and so it flowers in an effort to save itself by producing seed. So that's just a kind of a natural phenomenon, and if that happens, it really doesn't cause any problems. You can just pick the flowers off, and it's fine. But stress will bring that on.
Now, Carl, we get on to the next topic, but a question. With the wild onions, you advise using Speed Zone or Trimec.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you was to put down like a granular pre-emergent, that would not take care of the onions.
Well, it would be a granular post-emergent.
Okay.
In this case, and yes, they will work, but not as fast, and I don't think not as effective as liquid post-emergence broadleaf weed control.
Okay. I will appreciate you clarifying that. A little bit before the show, Carl and I were talking about some of the things that he wanted to talk about today on the Gardener's Corner program. And just to kind of give you a sneak preview, we'll be talking about the soil sampling, and we'll also be talking about the biological and
Organic.
I want to say ornamental, but the organic weed control and things like that. But before we get into that topic, we're going to talk about the brown
Stink bug, yes,
Yeah, okay.
That's a big word, and we have those in the area right now. They cause a lot of problems in the western part of the state for apple growers, but they are here now, and this is a picture that you can see on your TV that I'm going to show the difference here between the brown marmorated stink bug and just the ordinary brown stink bug. The brown marmorated stink bug has two white bands on the antenna, as you can see in number 1. Number 2 shows they have kind of a white triangular wing, white triangular markings on the wing covers. And number 3 shows the eyes. The eyes are red on a marmorated stink bug. If you contrast that with the brown stink bug, on the antenna it only has one band, and the markings on the wing covers, number 2, are not as bright, and 3, they do not have red eyes. The eyes are kind of brown or black. So that's the difference. But at any rate, they are here, and they do like to come indoors and look for look for quarters to overwinter. And so this is some information here contained from Dr. Mike Waldvogel, Extension Entomologist at NC State, and I'll quote from him. He put out a recent news release. He says, a bit of deja vu. Last year on September 21st, I sent out an email about brown marmorated stink bugs starting their fall invasion of homes and commercial buildings. We are getting similar reports in the Triad and west into the mountains. My colleagues at Clemson and University of Georgia are reporting similar problems. These stink bug feed on a wide range of fruit trees, ornamentals, and field crops. At this time of the year, the days grow shorter and the adults decide it's time to call it quits and start looking for places to pass the winter. This triggers the large aggregations that people will find on the siding of their homes or businesses, and inevitably, some of the bugs make it indoors. This is essentially the same issue we have seen in the Asian lady beetle and the kudzu bug, which still happily hanging out in soybean fields and kudzu. For people who want to try insecticidal sprays, they can use products containing cyfluthrin, lambda cyhalothrin, permethrin, trihalomethrin, and similar pyrethroid products, and target the chemicals to critical areas around windows, doors, and other entry points. However, chemical control is marginal for a variety of reasons, including the relatively short residual effect of these chemicals outdoors. They simply don't weather well. Second, it's simply impossible to effectively and safely treat all of the areas where these pests can invade. In some cases, the limitation is the location of the surface. Under the EPA's revised label requirements for the pyrethroids in particular, these products cannot be applied to vertical surfaces located over impervious surfaces, such as driveways, sidewalks, etc., where there is a high likelihood of runoff into storm drains. Using a licensed pest control service may provide slightly better results because these companies have the equipment to treat more surfaces. However, many people have an expectation of no more invaders, and that's simply not going to happen. This phenomenon is likely to continue for several weeks, particularly as the temperatures drop and more critters head for warmer places. Indoors, physical removal is still the best approach. So, the chemicals that were mentioned are used for outdoor use only. One product is labeled, and you can use, and that is the Talstar brand name, and I believe that is Talstar. I think is I can't remember. It's either bifenthrin or permethrin, but several people have told me that that's worked quite well. But it's an outdoor treatment just placed around sprayed around the foundation of the house.
So, other than the name, it is several different differences in the brown marmorated stink bug and just the regular stink bug.
Right. Here's some more slides that I have. Here's the brown stink bug. Here's the brown marmorated stink bug. Another shot of that. This shows the two bands on the antenna and a close-up of the triangular markings on the wing covers. And here's a shot of some of the eggs on a leaf as the eggs are hatching. You can see the small immature stink bugs coming out. A map that shows the highest concentration of brown marmorated stink bugs. It occurs primarily in the mountains, and the apple growers, the stink bugs are playing havoc with them. And these are the counties in the state where they've actually been cited. And one person has brought some in for me in Person County, even though the map doesn't show it. It's not in orange. The orange color shows where they've been citing, but we have had them in the county. Here's a little bit of what they do to crops. Here's an apple, and you can see it's kind of has a dimple in it and a brown spot. When you cut into it, you can see the damage that they have done, and they can really cause havoc in that. I'm not quite sure why those slides are in there. It's actually from I believe that's Dutch elm disease. Okay, I know why, because I should have went back instead of forward.
Well, look,
we need to break.
Yeah, we need to get a word on for T.G. Brooks Company.
Okay.
They've been in business since 1936, and you know what? It's a landmark in Timberlake. So we'll take a trip down to T.G. Brooks Company and find out what all they have to offer at T.G. Brooks.
T.G. Brooks Company has your pansies and mums. Yes, it's September, it's fall. Pansies, beautiful, beautiful pansies and mums. Stop into T.G. Brooks Got 'em. And right now, you know this is the very best time to get the weeds in the lawn killed out, get your fall seeding done, get the lawn chemicals to do the job. It's the best time of the year to enrich and repair your lawn. T.G. Brooks Company has the top choice turf grass seed for greener and plusher lawns. Also, the rental lawn aerators and pull and walk behind pluggers and spreaders. Plus your bag and bulk mulches and bulk planting soil to fix up your place. They have fertilizer and lime. They still have plenty of lawn sprinklers and water hose fittings. If you need a hose repair, we have some dry days. If you need yard tools, they've got those in abundance, and wheelbarrows. Pick up some rakes to get the leaves up. Fresh pine needles are there for you. So if you are just the homeowner or if you are in the professional landscaping business, everybody gets the same kind of service. And T.G. Brooks is set up to handle your commercial accounts. No matter what part of Person County, Durham County, and surrounding area, it's worth the drive to come to the one source to handle your fall needs for your lawn and your flower garden. Your family will be smiling, too, when you end up the day and cook them a delicious hand-cut ribeye steak you bought there at T.G. Brooks Company. And still, it's time to get a bowl of homemade ice cream. Get an ice cream freezer there. They've been around since 1936, and people have trusted T.G. Brooks Company for good advice when it comes to lawn, garden, and home. They take pride in serving the homeowner, farmer, and those in construction. 411 Helena Mariah Road in Timberlake, next door to Community Pharmacy. Fall is here. T.G. Brooks welcomes you.
Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We appreciate you all tuning in. We are live in the studio today. If you've got a question for Carl, call 599-0266. Carl, before we get back into some of the things that you had pretty much wanted us to talk about, we'd like to make mention that tomorrow will be the final day of this season at the Person County Farmers Market that's located here in Roxborough on Madison Boulevard across from the Cookout Restaurant. They're normally open Wednesday afternoons 3 until 6, Saturday mornings 8 a.m. until 12 noon. Well, tomorrow, again, will be the last day of the season for the Person County Farmers Market. And they greatly appreciate all of you all that has, shopped with them and attended events that they have had down there this past season. And they're going to be having a pretty big closeout tomorrow. They'll have Rolling Hills Gardening Center there, and they're going to be doing like a potted plant demonstration.
Okay.
And I understand that they're going to be doing some giveaways and things like that, and all this is going to take place about 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And Carl has a picture up on the screen of the billboard that used to be right there at the farmers market. And, that was a beautiful billboard. It certainly was.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, the more or less Person County Farmers Market was something that Carl helped establish a few years ago. Know a lot of you riding up and down Madison Boulevard have seen the really nice metal shed, the metal structure down there. Well, Carl has always been one that is very good about obtaining government grants and other grants that are available. And Carl applied for a grant to construct that structure.
Right.
To be used for the farmers market. And anyway, kind of got off to a rocky start with one of the contractors, but they ended up getting another contractor, and he done a wonderful job.
He did.
And we're very fortunate to have that here in Person County. So Miss Lee Russell again, she is more or less, I guess, would she be considered the president of the farmers market,
The
Carl?
farmers market manager.
Manager, okay, okay. And but she just says it thanks to everybody and wants to invite everybody to come on out tomorrow for their final day.
Yeah, I hope
So
they have a real good turnout.
I do too. I sure do. Want to wish them the very best, and surely as springtime rolls around, they'll be open back up. And we'll make a mention of a plug for the Roxborough Farmers Market on Depot Street. It's usually someone there daily from about 7 until 12 noon, and I'm sure they will be there as long as things are still available out of the garden. Well, Carl, here we are, the last Friday in September.
Right.
And I guess it was kind of imposed a little over a year or so ago about the soil sample testing. At one time, it was free year-round for the residents of North Carolina, but due to a really busy workload in the months of December, January, February, and March, they imposed a $4 per fee
Right.
for the soil sampling test. And the reason that they done so was to try to encourage people to do their soil testing earlier, in the fall or mid-summertime,
That's right.
because it's from March until Thanksgiving or the latter part, or
Yeah.
should we say April 1st?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I've got some new information
Okay.
from Dr. David Hardy. He's the soil testing section chief of NCDA, and he says growers and home gardeners or landscapers are reminded to send in their soil samples to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Agronomic Services Lab by November 25th at 6 p.m. to avoid upcoming peak season fees. There'll be a $4 fee per sample for those received during the lab's peak processing time of November 25th through March 31st. Samples received before November 25th or after March 31st will be processed without a fee. And most soil samples for home grounds and gardens can be collected April through November when the fee is not in effect. We implemented the peak season fee in 2013 to better manage the processing of soil samples and help ensure growers get their information in time to plan for the upcoming season, he said, Ag Commissioner Steve Troxler. We found that many people turned in their samples earlier, spreading the workload over more weeks and lessening a late rush of samples that created backlogs for testing in the lab. In 2013 and 2014, the soil testing section analyzed around 330,000 samples.
Wow.
With turnaround times of 1 to 2 weeks by the 1st of February. In previous years, there was still a significant backlog of samples to be processed through mid to late March, making it difficult for growers waiting for results to plan for nutrient applications. During the fee period, sample drop-off times at the Edie building will be between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. There will be no after-hours access on the weekends. Growers are encouraged to submit sample information forms online and pay with a credit card using a secure online payment service called PayPoint. Online submission can be accessed through their NCDA's homepage after a user account is established under the utility link. Payment can also be made with an escrow account. If faster turnaround time is needed, the lab offers an expedited soil testing service on a limited basis. Growers can purchase expedited shippers, which can hold up to 36 soil samples for $200 each while supplies last. The expedited shipper comes with a guaranteed turnaround time of 2 weeks upon delivery at the lab, excluding the Christmas holiday season where three weeks is guaranteed. Samples arriving in expedited shippers are excluded from the peak season fee. So if you can contact the Agronomic Service Division office at 919-733-2655 for questions regarding the peak season soil testing fee, the online sample submission, escrow accounts, or the purchase of expedited shippers. Again, that number is 919-733-2655. If you have any questions for the North Carolina Department of Agriculture Agronomic Testing Division that concerns the soil samples.
Well, Carl, I remember a few years back, you would log on to take a peek at the turnaround time, and I remember several times it being 7, 8, or maybe 9 weeks.
9 weeks was the most, yeah.
And so it's working out better this way, and so a lot of the home gardeners and things like that, they can save money by doing their soil samples between March 31st and November 25th, where it will be no charge. And Carl, as far as getting the soil samples to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, you all have a courier service that takes them sometime?
Yeah, the courier service is us.
Okay, so you have to take them. Sometimes y'all take turns, I guess, of taking them over and dropping them off. And I know I kind of took advantage of Carl. Back last year, Carl, I said, I got some soil samples. I said, can I just bring them with me to the radio station and you take them for me? And he said, yes. I think I had about 10 or 12, and he took them. But this year, Carl has agreed to come out to the farm, and he's going to actually dig the samples, fill out the paperwork, and send them off for me. And when he gets the results, he's going to come back and put the fertilizer and everything on. And I appreciate you for agreeing to do that, Carl. And you are a dear friend.
Anytime.
All right. So again, go ahead and get your soil sampling done. If you don't want to pay the $4 fee per sample, have it turned in before November 25th at 6 o'clock.
Right. We might give the number out again, I guess.
Yeah, 336-599-0266. That's 599-0266. If you've got a question for Carl, please give us a call. You still got time to fertilize your cool season grasses. You still got time to maybe do some reseeding and things like that. And those of you that were maybe lucky enough to do some reseeding, last week, and we're getting the rain on it, you're off to a really good start.
That's right. That's right.
And, that is certainly a plus sometimes, being lucky in the timing and the planning of things. But, we got quite a bit of rain over the last couple of days or so. I've heard reports from 1.5 inches.
Like 2.5 inches
to 3
where I live.
inches,
Yeah.
So it's really rained. And I know a lot of people that's got hay on the ground, and we have some on the ground. And, that's just what you call the luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah, and I talked quite a bit about the landscape plant that's just getting ready to bloom now. That's the swamp sunflower. And with all the rain, the shoots come up. They're very tall. They're 5-6 feet tall, and with all the saturated soil that we had, these heavy shoots that come up, just they all come together at the base of the plant, at the crown, and the soil is so waterlogged that on a few of my swamp sunflowers, they just fell down to the ground, and they were just lying prostrate there. So I got a piece of rope and kind of tied them together and pulled them up and secured them with a stake just to keep them off the ground. But I've never seen that happen before, so I guess there's a first time for everything.
Yeah. Carl, before we move on to the next topic at hand, let's talk about sweet potatoes just a minute.
Oh, sure. Okay.
My neighbor actually got his sweet potatoes up a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And I know some other people that have gotten their sweet potatoes up. And we actually had a phone call from some people a few days ago, was asking about how to more or less cure the sweet potatoes.
That's an excellent topic, and we need to be talking about that now. When you dig them, well, first of all, cut the vines off first if you can. Remove the vines so it makes digging go a whole lot easier. When you dig them up, try not to slice into them. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but try to minimize cutting and bruising them as much as possible. Once they're harvested, then bring them indoors and let the cut surfaces heal over, or you can actually start the curing process right then and there, and that is putting them in a warm room. If you can take a closet in your home and just put a space heater in the closet with a large basin of water. The idea is to raise the temperature to between 85 to 90 degrees with about 90% relative humidity. So putting a space heater in there will increase the temperature, and you want to leave them in that kind of an environment for about a week or so. Then go ahead and take your thumb and gently rub the skin of the sweet potato. If it comes off real easy, then you know that the curing process is not complete. Let them cure for a few more days, and when it's finished, the skin will adhere to the sweet potato, and the curing process will cut off the surface wounds. If you don't, should say the curing process should help heal the cut surfaces so that they'll store longer. If you don't cure sweet potatoes, you can probably expect a 15 to 20% loss. So this is large growers do this so to maximize their storage times.
Well, and if you don't have a way to cure your potatoes, if you have a lot of them, and you're pretty much going to supposedly air dry them, you don't want them to get wet, and if you can, go through them periodically to find if it's any bad ones or anything.
That's
to remove
right.
them.
That's right.
Oh, we've got a call. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. We hope that you are.
We're doing great. Look, my name is Brett, and I know you're going to probably think it's a crank call, but it's not. I'm really serious about what I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
I've always been a lover of pineapples.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know, maybe you can give me some insight. Why can we not grow pineapples in Person County? Do you have any reason why? I know it probably comes across as stupid, but, I love pineapples, and I wish we could get them homegrown. Do you know why we can't grow them?
Well, it's a tropical plant, and first of all, the plant could not overwinter outside; it would die, and I'm not quite sure how long it would take to grow one, but basically the pineapples are produced on shoots that arise off of the root system, and they probably do have a long growing season, but as far as survivability of the plant, you could probably grow it if you had a greenhouse.
Well, look, I don't know if you like them, but I love pineapples, don't you?
Oh, sure, they're good. Yeah.
Well, look, I appreciate your time. I know you got other calls, but I also learned a little about sweet potatoes while I was waiting for you. And look, I do appreciate your time.
All right.
Pleasure to show, and take care and have a great weekend.
All right.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you very much.
Carl, that was an excellent question, and I have heard of people would go, and buy a fresh pineapple and cut the top of it off and plant it out in the garden, and so that is, the biggest reason, you're saying, as it will not overwinter because it gets too cold. But, if you wanted to give it an experiment, maybe you could, plant a couple in like a pot and or a planter, and have some way that you could move it inside, to where it wouldn't get cold hurt, and it maybe would work.
Yeah,
but,
I'm going to do a little research on that, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that. While we were on sweet potatoes before, I went ahead and I found some slides on sweet potato harvesting. Probably a good time to talk about that. Here you see some sweet potato vines that right before harvest. This shows a couple of devices that you can use for harvesting sweet potatoes, some plows, or a potato digger. You can see the people here pulling up the sweet potatoes after they've been dug. Here's another close-up of what the potatoes look like as they come out of the soil. Here is a group that really looks nice. These were probably sprayed with water, just to make them show up like this, and just to show you this, the sizes of sweet potatoes that you can get. If you don't have a place to cure them, people will also put them if they have a home greenhouse. That'll get the temperatures up and can toughen up the skins as well. And here you see some sweet potatoes, a little bruising and some disorders there, and just to show you what they look like when they come out of the ground.
Well, one thing, Carl, when you harvest the sweet potatoes, I'm thinking it's best that the soil is as dry as possible, because you don't want the soil to stick to the sweet potatoes.
No.
But if it does, one thing, after they kind of cure out a little bit, you can put on a pair of cotton gloves and kind of rub the dirt off of them somewhat. But as Carl says, when you are rubbing the sweet potato, if the skin starts to come off, the sweet potato has not completed its curing process.
That's right.
And you don't really want to rub the skin off of the potatoes. And also with sweet potatoes, a lot of people really enjoy Irish potatoes, right out of the ground, and they call them, I guess, new crop potatoes or graveling potatoes, just to go out and dig a few out from under the vine. But the sweet potato actually gets sweeter after it is cured out, and it will last a lot longer. Irish potatoes, you can put them in the refrigerator and keep them a long, long time. The sweet potato does not like any type of cold weather.
Definitely not.
So put your Irish potatoes in the refrigerator, but don't do that with your sweet potatoes. But if you store sweet potatoes properly, it's no reason that you cannot store sweet potatoes to enjoy them all year long until it's time for the next year's harvest.
That's right. And here's a few varieties that are common that are commonly grown in North Carolina. Starting from the upper left-hand corner, we have the Puerto Rican, Covington, Beauregard, Evangeline is another one. Hernandez is probably one of the ones that is most commonly grown. Purple, Japanese, O. Henry, and Murasaki. And these are what the sweet potatoes look like when they're sliced. So you can see the interior of these. And most of these are what we call moist flesh sweet potatoes. And again, there is no such thing as yams. The true yam is not grown in this country, but the moist flesh sweet potato varieties are given the term yams. But botanically, we do not grow yams. Yams belong to a different genus in the Dioscorea genus, and it's a big, rough, warty-looking thing that has no resemblance to the sweet potato.
Well, that you just explained it. I had someone to refer to myself and you as looking like a bunch of yams on TV, and when you said warty, that kind of drew it together. So
that's right.
Paul, would you say that it is more varieties of sweet potatoes or Irish potatoes?
Gosh, I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I really don't know.
But it's a lot of different varieties of both, isn't it?
Yeah. Here's common ones. Here's Covington, and what they look like after being sliced. Here's the Beauregard, and after they've been prepared. Here's the Hernandez, which is really commonly grown in the state. And here's a purple sweet potato, and what it looks like after that slice. That really looks pretty.
I've never had the purple sweet potato.
There's the Puerto Rican. I think this is the dry flesh type, and more commonly grown up north. Here's the O. Henry variety, which is a white, and that's about it.
All right. we need to get a word on for one of our sponsors. We are brought to you today by the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association, and they're having their 8th annual show in Butner. It will start next Friday. That'll be October 3rd. It'll run on Saturday, October the 4th, and Sunday, October the 5th. Taking place down in Butner. If you're a fan of antique tractors, engines, pretty much the old way of doing things, you need to check out the 8th annual Harvest Show next week in Butner. Here's more information. The Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association has scheduled their 8th annual Harvest Show for October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You certainly want to make it your plans to be at the show. It will take place in Butner, North Carolina, at the corner of 12th and G Streets. For more information, call Al Govern at 919-528-1652. If you're someone that enjoys tractors and hit and miss engines, they'll have a lot on display with antique farm equipment. Be sure to check out the one-of-a-kind antique tool and homestead display. The Harvest Show is scheduled for Friday, October the 3rd from noon until 5, Saturday, October the 4th from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., and on Sunday, October the 5th from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. This year's show will feature John Deere. For more information, call Al Govern at 919-528-1652. Daily admission is $5 or get a 3-day pass for only $8. Children 12 and under admitted free. That's October 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Butner for the 8th Annual Harvest Show, sponsored by the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association. Well, Carl, once again, and it seems to happen to you and I, we kind of run out of time.
Yes, that happens.
Before we run out of topics. Maybe I learned how to talk. And one of the first things that Carl told me he wanted to talk about today was the biological and Organic. Thank you, Carl. And
pest control method.
Of course, you could tell that I wanted to put it off because I couldn't remember the word. And I said, okay, we'll get around to it. And he mentioned a few other things, and we got around to the few other things, but we have not had an opportunity today, and we're not going to have the opportunity to get around to talk about the other topic at hand.
Yeah, we'll hit those. We'll hit those another week. Yeah.
Biological pest control means, but we'll try to get it on next week for you. We sure will.
Yeah.
This reminder, tomorrow, the last day of the Person County Farmers Market on Madison Boulevard. They'll be open tomorrow from 8 a.m. until 12 noon. Go by and support the market if at all possible.
Right.
And they'll have a special presentation with Rolling Hills Garden Center down there tomorrow. And the Person County Farmers Market is located right across from the Cookout Restaurant between Wells Fargo Bank and American Heroes. So
right.
Be sure to check that out. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, just keep an eye on what's growing out in the fall garden. Pay attention to cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. If you see insects on cabbage, treat with either the insecticide 7, SEVIN, or BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. That's the bacterium that is the natural insecticide.
You don't need for me to spell that to you.
No.
Okay,
no.
good. Okay, all right.
So keep a check of what's growing in the garden, and as the soil dries out, of course, take soil samples for next year before November 25th.
All righty. We do appreciate each and every one of you all for tuning in. I think we had about 4 calls today. We had some interesting calls. Everything from wanting to know about pineapples, and would be nice because I myself enjoy pineapples.
Yeah, we'll have to look up some things, and we'll talk about that next week.
And we had a caller thinking that maybe they're having some problems with their pear tree from fire blight. Also, we had a caller asking about when to trim back crepe myrtles, and we had a call about wild onions. So
That's right. It was
good wide
good.
array of topics today, and
That's
we
right.
appreciate all of you all for tuning in. Thanks goes out to T.G. Brooks Company and also the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association, as they're having their 8th annual harvest show next weekend in Butner.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Carl Cantalupi of the
thank you,
North
Rob.
Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. And we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of the Gardener's Corner program. Have a great weekend, everybody.